All right, boys and girls, we're still on lesson 6 here, the founding of Maryland and Georgia. We're just now into the next chapter, and we just want to look at the focus of what we're going to focus on in chapter 9. Students will ask and answer questions in writing requiring literal recall and understanding of the details of early days in Georgia by explicitly referring to the text. Let's look at a few of our vocabulary words. Debtor, so we saw this one in chapter 8, a person who owes money. Bitterly, extremely. Devour, to completely destroy. And threat, the possibility that something harmful and bad might happen. All right, let's go back into our reader. Chapter 9, early days in Georgia. So remember, you're looking to retell this story again. Hello, my name is Sarah. My family and I are from England. We have been in Savannah, Georgia for 5 years now. We left England in November 1737 on board a sailing ship called the Anne. It took us 2 months to get to these shores. I will never forget how bitterly cold it was on the deck of the ship. The wind felt worse than a stinging insect when it touched my face. The waves were dark, gray, and frightening. They tossed our ship about here, there, and everywhere. I feared that those giant waves would devour us. Our first stop in North America was Charleston. After that, we made our way to the town I now live in called Savannah. Savannah is in the English colony of Georgia. It's not quite a town yet, like the ones in England, but it will be. When we first arrived in Savannah, my mother called it a wilderness. I was 6 years old then. Now I am 11. Sarah on board the sailing ship called the Anne. Mr. James Oglethorpe and 21 other English gentlemen had been granted a charter by King George II of England. The charter gave them permission to create an English colony under English law. The charter states that they are the trustees or governors of this colony, meaning they are in charge. However, everyone knows that it is really Mr. Oglethorpe who is in charge because he makes all the decisions. I've also heard that Mr. Oglethorpe wants this colony to succeed so much that he sold some of his own property in England to earn money for Georgia. Mr. Oglethorpe is a personal friend of the king, and he persuaded his majesty to create this colony. My father said that Mr. Oglethorpe intends to bring debtors here too. When I asked him what debtors were, he told me that they were people who owe money to other people. Often they go to jail until they can pay off their debts. They can even die in jail. Mr. Oglethorpe wants some of these people to be given a second chance here in Georgia. Here it's James Oglethorpe here and King George II. My parents aren't debtors. They were chosen by Mr. Oglethorpe for their skills. My father is a carpenter and my mother is a seamstress. Mr. Oglethorpe wanted mostly skilled people to come to Savannah. He said that would be the only way we would survive here. I have heard the grown-ups talk about what happened to the first settlers in Virginia. Some of them died because they were not skilled enough to make their way. Many others died because of cold and hunger, though. So Mr. Oglethorpe and the other trustees chose mostly farmers, merchants, bakers, carpenters, and blacksmiths to be the first English colonists here. It's a picture of a baker, a carpenter, a farmer, and a blacksmith. When we first arrived in Savannah, we lived in tents. Altogether, there were 40 families. We worked very hard to build the wall that now surrounds us. Inside the wall, we built our homes. Everyone worked, even the children. Slowly, our town began to take shape. There is still a lot of work to be done, though. It does not yet look like the busy city of London that we left behind. Mr. Oglethorpe had hoped to avoid the use of slaves, but there was so much work to be done that eventually some came to help us clear the forest so that we could build our homes and plant our crops. Here in Savannah, families have pieces of land where they grow their own crops. Mr. Oglethorpe has banned the drinking of rum in this colony. My father says that some people are unhappy about how strict Mr. Oglethorpe is being. My parents say that Mr. Oglethorpe is a wise man. When we first arrived, he made friends with a chief of the local tribe called the Yamacraw. The chief's name is Tomochichi. Tomochichi even traveled back to England with Mr. Oglethorpe when he went to get more supplies for us. Tomochichi and his people trust us, at least for now. In fact, I've heard some of the boys saying that it's an illustration of families lived in tents until they built their homes. That the Spanish to the south of us are our main enemy. They want this land. The Spanish have a large fort called St. Augustine in Spanish Florida. They could attack us at any time. Because of this threat, Mr. Oglethorpe has once again returned to England to ask King George II for soldiers to help protect us. My father says that it is only a matter of time before we will have to fight the Spanish for this land. These words scare me. I must go now. I hear my mother calling me. I have to help her prepare the evening meal. I hope we get a chance to talk again. Just take a look at these questions down here and think about them. How do you think it felt to know that you could be attacked at any time? Do you think King George II sent soldiers to protect the colonists? All right, boys and girls, go right into your questions, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday.